that's more relevant, and that's so I went to a retreat on Ibiza. I walked in teacher, um, and in each of the satsangs, I just felt this, or not even. I would just start laughing, and it felt like it was just coming from nothing, or not from me at least. And that I didn't really have any control over it, and 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 there's this, like, since then, but just in general, there's been this fear of losing control, or this it's just hard to describe, just this like deep anxiety, like, oh, like what's really happening, what is really going on here, and actually discovering that maybe is, I don't know, it could be trauma, but I just felt that.
Well, I think
like how to encounter this, and or allow it to maybe be processed in a healthy, maybe even smooth way, instead of
I think
I just don't know what's happening.
I think that awakening is that, like that, in the sense that it is, in some level, a complete loss of control. So I think the person and the body can sense that you're really going into the mindless mind. Like in the world of functioning, there needs to be a character in order to function. Like we need to know that the poison ivy can kill us, and not to eat certain things or do certain things. Like, I don't know if you've ever read the book Frankenstein. When he first becomes human, like, he didn't know what coldness was. And there's this, like, I think I spoke about this maybe with you, actually. So, like, he didn't know what coldness was, and so, like, he had to learn what coldness was, and that when you're cold, you put on clothes, or you need to find warmth. That's just one example of it. We need this thinking mind, and we need the memory and the character in order to function in a complex society. And that's been an amazing survival tool that humanity have had. And what we're talking about is really going beyond that. And so I think that can be scary for the mind and for the body, and often produces a lot of fear and a feeling and a sensation of dying. And there is a period, and there is this awakening experience normally where you completely surrender the intellect and memory and any connections to this world. You completely go beyond the thinking mind, and you have these oneness experiences which are miraculous. But in dissolving into that, it's like complete and utter death. And it can feel like going insane or insanity, because you're absolutely going beyond thinking. And so there is an element of that, and that can lead the personality, like Laurie Vallow, into lots of delusions. But Laurie Vallow was really specific. I'm not saying that's going to happen to you or anyone that is listening. That's like a tiny, 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 tiny percent of people that have awakenings, and there was already personality stuff there. She might have done it without the awakening as well. It's not that that's the pivotal point, but it's like going into illusion. So, what I always recommend to you, and what we've spoken about before, is, working one-on-one with people as well, in order to keep the personality in check.
Working with other people, just with sessions and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I always feel like to keep, and I think that's really great. And then there's this other part that's beginning to explore that which is beyond the personality. And it can have profound effects in the personality, but if you've got this support system around you, then it can help support that and stop the personality acting out in too many weird ways. Because it is like really full on what we're talking about. We're talking about going beyond the person that believes itself to be alive, which we take as not a big deal, but it is actually a huge deal. It's really, really radical what's being spoken about.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that just, instead of bliss or anything, it's just bringing up some of the traumas, and it feels like a lot of that, I mean, I'm a broken record, but it's just kind of like the same old root chakra, like kind of stuff, like the lower, um, yeah, it's just, I'm part of a community of like Course in Miracles people, and like, so I have people that I speak to and get reflections back from, and it's, it's good, it's fine, it's just,
It's painful, like
yeah, it
when
is.
you're in the when you're in the illusion of the person and believe it to be real, it's painful because you have in your mind this idea of Brian who's had years, what you think of years and years of suffering, and that is
Yeah.
painful to know that in this moment, or to think that in this moment, and then that adds to the pain that's also there from these contracted energies that are in the body. So not only is the contracted energy from that has been trained to be there in the body, there's also the story which goes along with it, that I've had this for 20 or 30 years. So with Khaleesi, so my dog, the blessing for Khaleesi is, I think that she experiences pain now. She's, in human years, she's 77, and I think that she's got arthritis in her back, and I think she experiences pain from it. So that's not emotional pain, but there is, I think, substantial physical pain there. But she doesn't have the idea of, I've been suffering from this for 4 years. So to her, it's just radical pain. So in a way, the emotional pain and the physical pain isn't too dissimilar. It's like this pain in the lower chakra from a repetition of story that was learned early in life and maybe came from previous lives. So it's this painful energy that's in the lower chakra, and this painful story that comes up with it. And then added on that, there is a person that believes that that's their pain and that they've been experiencing it for 10, 15, 20, 30 years and might experience it until they die. So then there's this added energy to it. Whereas really, in this moment, what's happening is there's the pain in the chakra that doesn't belong to anyone. Like it's appearing in this infinite space. And there's no Brian there that owns it.
Yeah. It's, it's confusing, not to know, not to know who I am or what to do, or, yeah.
Yeah. I can really understand that it's confusing for the person, and I can imagine there's pain in the body from that confusion and a desire to have clarity. And what can happen in the human level is there could be practices that are done and groups that are joined which give more certainty and regularity and sort of dissolve the confusion. So that could be done on the human level, which you're already doing, I believe. But then there's also, in this moment, there is this confusion that's arising for nobody. So there's confusion arising, there's thoughts about the confusion in this expansiveness, this immense space.
Yeah, and I can feel the mind trying to just grasp onto anything.
Yeah, and want to do something. Yeah, because that's worked for the mind in the past. So that's what the mind does. That's what it wants. And then what non-duality is really pointing to is who is watching the mind, who is watching that person that is scrambling to try to fix the discomfort.
Yeah. And resolve the story.
Yeah.
Wants to resolve the story.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with helping the story, doing all these activities to helping the story. But non-duality is a remembering of that which is beyond the story. Who is experiencing the story? The mind says, me, Brian, is experiencing the story, but who is this Brian? And there comes the laughter.
Yeah. Yeah. But even this laughter, it's like it's funny, but that laughter was just, it wasn't. It was like totally impersonal.
Yeah.
And I can see how like awakening has nothing to do with me, and
Yeah.
it doesn't. I guess the fear maybe is like it doesn't care,
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably just childhood trauma, that kind of belief. Um, yeah, yeah. And it's just that what did I sign up? Like I thought I wanted awakening. It's like
I think the person. Yeah, I don't think the person does want awakening. Yeah, totally. I think the person wants to feel better in time. And then then there's a getting into this subject, and it's like this self-destruction is happening. Like the person is seen to be an illusion. And I just wanted to say earlier, I might have overspoken you because I didn't want you expressing bad things about another teacher. But I'm so happy if you want to talk about the teacher and mention them if you had positive experiences with them. But I just don't want to get into, speaking badly about other people. I don't mind you mentioning things which are helpful, but I don't, and saying things that have helped you in that situation. But I just don't want to get into speaking bad about people. Yeah, so you're always so welcome to mention, like you mentioned ACMI, and I'm so happy you go on retreats with other teachers and learn new things and expand. I actually think it's great to see different teachers. There can be the phenomena where you're like going from one to the other, and this can be problematic, like comparing and, using them as a battleground or something inside your mind. But I also think it's great listening to lots of different ideas. It shows a mind which is really open and which doesn't have to have one way. This is the way and this is the only good way. It can see different beliefs and different views, and it can hold them all openly and see benefits from lots of different positions and perspectives.
Yeah, I can see how it might be confusing, just really, yeah. There seems to be this just confusion about, just about like what's going on.
Yeah.
It kind of, I don't know, it feels like grief maybe even under that or something, like just from just the story of the person, I think,
to me, if you can see that everybody's story and everybody's perspective can never be a truth, it can only be a perspective, then you can just utilize what everybody's saying to either help heal the character or to go beyond the character. Like nobody can speak the truth, because it's always in opposites. We're always speaking in comparison. So we can never say a definite truth. We can say things that are more true, but we can't ever say a definite truth. And that can really trip people up, like in this comparison. Like this has to be the truth, or this is the true message. But when you really begin to see that all non-dual teachings are about pointing beyond, they're not a truth. And there's not an allegiance that needs to happen. You don't need to align with one. If something's, the only difficulty in it can be is like when you're getting very reactive and jumping between the two, all the different teachers that have reactivity, like this one's bad, this one's good now, that one's bad, that one's good. And then using it to live in a land of confusion, which one should I do? Should I do this or should I do that?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I do jump between teachers and such, and do sessions with the different ones.
But that can show a really open mind, Brian, that you're not attached to, like, it can have negative, and maybe you do use it negative sometimes, but it also on the positive, it shows somebody having a very open mind.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess there's not really, I don't really have like a specific question here. I could just feel like the person just wants to resolve, it just wants to just go around in its little circles. So
Yeah. But thanks, Brian. I really enjoyed talking, and I think like really lots of beautiful things came out of our conversation. So thank you for speaking with me.
Yeah, thank you for speaking with me.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. Bye.
Bye.
I think you have to mute yourself, by the way. Yeah, you know. Thanks. Nice. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for people for sending questions in the Lisa Cairns question. Thank you, Osborne, for writing out those ones from your channel. That's really helpful. Thank you, Brian, for calling in. If you want to sign up to the YouTube, to the Telegram channel, and the Telegram questions, you can find out information how to do that on my website on the live stream channel page. I've done it so that I can, as a teacher, have more protection. I know you most probably wonder why I need protection, but just protection from people being abusive. Like in YouTube, people can really, not treat people with respect sometimes. So in the Telegram group, everybody is asked to identify themselves. So if somebody is abusive, then there can be a reporting of it. Whereas on YouTube, it's all, you don't know who it is. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for signing up and for asking questions. And I really don't mind you asking confrontational questions as long as you're being respectful to me. I really appreciate it when people come in with different views and different perspectives.